So, hello everyone. Here we are, episode 7.
7.
Oh, can you believe
How
it?
did we get here?
Like, how did we get here? That is such a good question. Like, we've been doing this for 7 months now. I'm like, 2024 is just like, boom, gone in a shot. But today we've got a really hot topic, and we've really been talking. Hello, those that are joining us. Let us know where you are calling in from, where you're joining us from. We'd love your questions throughout this episode as well. So even if you're watching the replay, please do type your questions in below. But we're really here to talk today about labels. Like, this is a really hot topic, and Marina and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, and we were just like, well, I wonder, is this actually helpful or is it not? And I think the answer to that is actually it's both, but we want to dive into both of those aspects of where it is helpful and where it isn't, and just to really see what comes through around this. So, you know, we're here every month talking into deep topics. Like, this really is about safety and ascension. Like, if we are on the ascension path, how do we do this that feels good, safe, grounded, nurturing, supportive? Like, we're here to have these conversations. We're not here to say what's right and wrong. We're really here to activate, reawaken something in you that brings a memory back for what's going on in the world. Like, how can we really show up and tune in on a different level? So yeah, this is what this conversation is about, and what this podcast is truly about for us.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, you know, your questions and your feedback and your insights are really useful, because we do channel from the Akashic Records as we have these discussions, and these discussions may be activating, they may be a little bit triggering, because your truth is different perhaps to what we're bringing through, and that's perfect. Just acknowledge that, but also just know that the way that we've positioned these podcasts and created these podcasts as we've come together as a collaboration is that they are activating healing, should you choose to receive it, on a multidimensional level. So we are actually, you know, these aren't just podcasts where we're sharing information and sharing tips, tricks, and hacks. These are also healing transmissions, because we are having these conversations. And if you are tuning in to listen live or replay, there's a part of what we're talking about that needs to maybe just receive that healing, or just have the mindset shift, or just have your mind open, or a different perspective to be heard. So I just wanted to just add that these podcasts are actually something way more than what I probably first kind of initially anticipated. And, you know, this wisdom is just coming through now, that these are actually healing transmissions that we're actually sharing as well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I chuckle, and I'm chuckling because I realize as well, you know, as we're here, episode 7, that these things, you know, that we're bringing through are really having the healing conversations. I think that so much now is being reawoken in us as we're having these conversations. It's not about healing. It's about allowing ourselves to heal and remembering who we are at soul level. Like, what are we truly here, that we are bringing in, calling in, being part of the change that's coming. And, you know, as Marina said, you know, it's like, take what resonates and leave the rest. We just want to have a conversation. Like, we don't even know where we're going yet. Like, we're like on the path. We've been receiving so much wisdom and insight, but we really want to open this up as a conversation, because we don't know what's right and what's wrong yet. We're discovering, and we can only figure these things out when we actually have these conversations, and how we have these conversations. So we're just opening a portal, and every viewpoint is valid. Every viewpoint is allowed in the space. So please do bring your questions in. This is what's really key. And if there's topics you'd like us to talk into, also you can pop them here in the comments, or you can send us a DM. We'd really like to know, what do you want us to talk into? What's big on your mind right now in the spiritual world, in the spiritual community? Hey, Sonia. Yay!
Hi, Sonia. Yay. And actually, I was just about to say, Sonia, we have taken your request on, and we're going to be looking at that in the next episode when we're talking about galactic stuff as well. So in terms of layers and how the Akashic Records helps us to heal in a multidimensional way. So we are going to talk more into that. So
yes, thank you for your question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is yeah, we're just shining a light on things, and we can only do that in conversation. So this is the beauty of it. So what are labels then? Let's dive in.
Yes, indeed. So we have our notes here. So we wanted to kind of really understand, are labels confirming, expansive, give a sense of assurance and confidence, or do they restrict and confine and place us in gilded cages? So we would love to hear what your views and insights are around this. Now, I know certainly for me and for a lot of clients that certain labels, when it comes to diagnosis, give a sense of assurance. They give a sense of I'm not on my own. I'm not alone. I've got other people that I can kind of talk to about whatever these symptoms are. For instance, ADHD. That's a massive kind of like highlight. You know, there's a lot of people now being diagnosed and, you know, choosing to get their own diagnosis of, say, ADHD. And I know that for a lot of my clients, this has been very affirming, and it has given them a sense of peace within themselves. But then to what point does that label then become a confinement of your expansion and your abilities to do things? Does it become an enabler, or does it become a disabler? And I think this is the topic that we wanted to have. And, you know, we can obviously apply this to archetypes, all of the labels that we just take on subconsciously because we're having the human experience. We are straight away kind of placed into these archetypes, and we claim these archetypes, and the more that we fit into the behaviors and the typical characteristics of those archetypes, we don them even more. But at what point does that then become like a confinement? Do we hold ourselves back in certain ways because I can't do that because I do this, or I have this, or whatever it might be? And so we wanted to just throw the light on this and get your experiences around what you feel, you know, if you've had a particular diagnosis, or if you just have a kind of a viewpoint on this. You know, do you feel it enables, does it disable, does it do both? I suspect it does both, but I think that there does need to be a mindfulness of where we can lean too much into relying on that label to almost give us permission to, or excuse us from maybe parts of our human experience and growth and healing, because it's an excuse. And I think that's what we have to be mindful of with the labels. And, you know, that's any kind of label.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that just even asking ourselves the question of, is this label helpful? At what point does it stop being helpful? At what point is it actually hindering me, stopping me, encaging me, shackling me, stopping me from living my fullest truth? Because we're all different. And, you know, as Marina says, you know, we have so many labels. I mean, even to the point where we have labels as wives, mothers, partners, healers. I mean, like, my goodness, the label of becoming a healer, of saying I'm a healer, came with all sorts of baggage, all sorts of preconceived ideas of what I should be, how I should show up, how much I should charge, how much I should show up in the visible arena, how much I should stay hidden. I mean, like, my goodness me, there was a whole unpacking to do of, what does this label even mean? What do I even And I have now actually stopped calling myself a healer, because in some respects, I don't feel it's helpful, because I feel that we all have the power to heal ourselves and we don't need others to heal us. But where do we have a space to go to somebody who's a guide, who's a mentor, someone who can walk side by side to us, thinks that believes I'm an equal. And I know that I get so much more out of that when I seek others to walk by my side. So that's just one thing. Then another thing, as a daughter, as a, who I should be as a sibling, as the younger daughter, and then as an entrepreneur. So if we think about how we label ourselves every single day, and then we're adding all these layers of diagnosis to things. I always used to say as well to myself, like, oh, don't mind me, I'm just a bit OCD. And it got to a point, this is many years ago, where I was like, why am I saying this? Like, what is the point? Like, what am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to just justify to others that I like things in a nice, neat and orderly fashion? My partner would disagree that I'm nice and neat and orderly at times, but it's like, why was I doing that? And it really got me thinking about it. This was the first time I really looked at it many years ago. Well, I just like the way things, the way I don't have to justify it. I don't have to explain myself, and I don't need that justification from anyone else. And that was the turning point for me, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think Sonia's just saying she has avoided labels and never found a label helpful. Could say a lot on this one. When I discovered my various neurodiversions with the labels of those, it helped me to understand, but I have had to release them quickly. And I do think there is a level of, certainly for people that have been late diagnosed, there is this sense of not feeling alone, or not feeling like I'm the odd one out. So I think there is a real sense of comfort that comes from having this understanding that I am different, but I don't have to then punish myself for that difference because I am this. But then it's then limiting yourself to, well, I can only work with this person because they specify in working with neurodivergence, I can only hang out with these people, which I'm sure people don't think that. But I think there could be a narrowing of what you then do, because you only then kind of like connect with those people that really understand you. And I get that as well, that there is a great validity in hanging out or working with people that really understand that particular diagnosis. Absolutely. But it is just that kind of fine line of where you then only work with those types of people, and you're missing out, and you're kind of really enforcing that label as well. So I've just seen what else Sonia said. It helped me to understand I had to release them quickly. They gave me somewhere to hide behind and stop me growing and accepting whatever I may be. That's a really good point. So Sonia saying, I struggle with this in my branding for my business too, as a therapeutic coach, guide, healer, neurodivergent, female, human, Pleiades, starseed. I mean, just to
quite a lot in that. Love that.
Hi, Julie. Good to see you here.
Yeah, I think it is a struggle. And I also think, just coming back to the marketing thing, it's like, branding and marketing, and how do we really like allow people to see the true us in our marketing, and how do we really bring that to the forefront? Because I think there's old paradigm marketing where we're really seeing to somebody's lack, and that we are the one that's healing and fixing it. And I think, I feel sometimes like I'm still stuck in one foot in the old way of marketing and the old paradigm of marketing, and I'm stepping towards the new, and catch myself still going towards these senses of lack. So I think we're really rewriting these ideas of like how we brand ourselves in our business. I'm trying to find your message again, but like you know, how do we brand ourselves in our marketing? How do we bring that into the new earth? And I think we're rewriting these rules, you know, that I think there's still a lot still entrenched in, you know, you have to label people like, what's your ideal client? Who are they? What do they like? What do they dislike? Where are they hanging out? And like all these old things. And actually, you know, for me, I'm just talking to people who have an interest in this. But how do I make that inviting? How do I get people to see and feel the energy and the frequency of what we're talking
it's the
about?
energetics, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like frequency has such a huge part to play in this. And I think, but I feel it, you know, I've still got myself stuck with a foot in that old way, and I'm slowly releasing myself.
It's going to be a gradual process. You know, again, we don't need to make ourselves bad or wrong for that, because we are figuring it out as we go along. And so, you know, I'm 7 years into business and I'm still learning business. So, you know what I mean? So it's the old ways that you are going to learn from, because there isn't the new, you know, the new ways are emerging, and you know, we're figuring that out. But we've only got the template of the old, you know, which is constantly updating. So, and it's kind of like, essentially, there's probably some really good practices, but we infuse those with our own energetics, our own soul alignment, our intuition, connecting in with our guides. It's a whole mix of stuff that we're now bringing into this. And you can teach elements of that, but we've got to also be empowered to kind of take that on as well, you know. So, I mean, we've kind of slightly gone off track there, but I know that we're talking about marketing and the labels there. And how do we market, and who do we market to?
Because I think,
sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, because I think, you know, we're talking of frequency, you know, language has these codes and these frequencies. And I think I think that's where the label, where it has a certain frequency to it, and where it's really helpful, because we can identify and we can see ourselves as part of the whole. Because I think, you know, labels we do seek those out to feel safe, to feel connected, to feel a confirmation of what we've perhaps been feeling for years. And so they really have this energetic resonance. But then sometimes we grow through that, and then that label is no longer, the frequency of that label is no longer aligned with what we've expanded into and grown into. And so I think that works the same in terms of business and marketing, and how do you name it? I think people just feel a sense of like, oh, this is the person I want to work with. So we are moving through, and I you know, Sinead also says, you know, it's been extremely helpful, but also agree that it can then create a boundary or a limitation. And so I feel that there's this sense of it's a process, it's a moving through, it's an evolution of how we move through. It's an aid, but then how do we release it? Because I do also know that some people are very much wedded to it, very much confined by it. And that's where I think we're like, well, what else is there? When you feel confined, what's that stopping you from moving into?
I mean, I agree. It's like an anchor point. It is that kind of confirmation, but it's then what does it, and it helps you to come to terms with yourself, and come to terms with those aspects that maybe you had been rejecting because you were making them bad or wrong. So it's really probably very, very useful for, you know, doing the shadow work and accepting all of those aspects. But then it's like you say, now I've kind of come to understand myself, and this, what's the next thing? What can I now grow into? And it might be that the label is not even part of what you grow into. It was a past, and you've kind of used it to facilitate the growth and the expansion at that point, but you're now moving beyond that. And so it's going to be an individual journey for everybody in terms of where they're at, and you know, what's part of their learnings, what's part of their growth, what is part of their soul's journey, you know. And for some people, perhaps being entrenched in that label is then part of their journey, and it is part of maybe a growth lesson, or a karmic lesson of some kind around labels, you know. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So that's you know, them completing a karmic lesson through having this label. Who knows? Everybody's individual, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's like everybody's unique. Like we are all unique, and a label doesn't really show us as unique. It's like that's why a lot of these, you know,
No.
diagnostic labels are very much on spectrums. We talk about spectrums because
Yeah.
even within that label, you are not that label. You are a part of something on
An
a
element of
spectrum,
it.
right? So
Yeah.
we're all unique. So where we believe that a label is the answer, there's still the unfolding, the understanding, the resonance of what it is within that. Even within that label, it's not definitive. It's not. It's not exclusive. So like we're really celebrating our uniqueness, and I think that that's something we are notoriously bad at. We're so like we want to be. It's like we've spent so many lifetimes, so many centuries not standing out, like, and now it's like we're all unique. Every single one of us on this planet is unique, and even in the spectrum of a label, you're still unique. And I feel like we really want to celebrate that rather than allow it to confine us even more. There's no right and wrong. There just is what it is.
Yeah. And I think one of the long-standing labels that we have is kind of like the personality types, isn't it? Like with our astrology and now human design. And it's like, okay, well, I know there's an element of those that gives us our personality and it gives us kind of like our energy alignment. So it's very helpful for that. But again, it's like, well, you know, I'm Pisces, so that means that I'm this, this, and this. And it's like, well, I then don't step into these, you know, I don't be the really kind of like Aries type energy and be the go-getter and the leader. Because I'm supposed to be a Pisces and I'm supposed to be romantic and all of this other stuff, which I just I totally do not resonate with the whole Pisces thing. Totally more Aquarius. So I've kind of just like, but that really did kind of restrict me for quite a while, and it confused me as well. It's kind of like, well, if I'm born here, but I associate more with these qualities. Well, you know, why is there this disparative? Some of it is down to my understanding, because obviously we can go very deep with astrology, and it's very unique because you've got to look at houses and all of those other parts. But also with astrology, it depends what kind of astrology calendar you're going off, whether you're going off the Eastern or the Western. And the Eastern is, from what I understand, more accurate because the percentages of the Western still goes off the skies of 2,000 years ago, whereas the Eastern is very up to date. And so when I look at that, and in terms of my astrology chart, I am actually Aquarius and I'm not Pisces, which is the attributes that I totally relate to. So it's just interesting how we can be almost deceived and try and fit ourselves then into the personality type of what we think that we're supposed to be, rather than trusting and, you know, just maybe discovering a little bit more around it, or just totally disregarding it and being who we want to be anyway, you know, and leaning into our gifts. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think we just have to have a lot of awareness around it in terms of what works for us and what doesn't, and that is going to be unique for everybody.
Yeah, Sonia says, "Oh wow, I'm not going to have to explore Eastern."
Yeah, I was really surprised, Sonia, that the Western astrology hasn't been updated for 2,000 years. They're still looking at the same skies, and I think the degrees is something like 22 degrees out.
Oh wow, so that's huge!
It's a massive difference, huge difference. So when you look at actually when you were born, you'll probably find that you might be in a different sign altogether.
Yeah. So that's really interesting as well, isn't it? Because we're so stuck to systems, ways of doing things, ways of being. And I think, you know, Sinead, that really talks into the marketing element that you're asking about as well. But it's like we're so still entrenched in so many different things in the old ways of doing things, and we're getting to rewrite these things now. We're looking at things from new perspectives, new understandings. Consciousness has shifted. Our understanding of how the world works, how the universe works, how things all fit together, and an understanding of who we are at soul level, and how we're here having a human experience, but we're a soul, you know, and how we're navigating that. We are all of everything. Like, there's nothing that we are not. There's nothing that we can't or cannot not do. Like, we can do anything, but does it feel aligned, or is it feeling like we're pushing? It's creating resistance. There's this like push pull energy, or are we leaning into something that feels more innate to us and just feels like we're more in flow? And I feel, you know, if a label as such really supports you in feeling in flow, then great, work with it, allow it. If you're speaking those codes and that language to your audience and to your through your marketing, and it really resonates with people and is calling people in, then it's in flow. If it's not working, then there's something that's not working. And I do also feel, I was having this conversation with someone else actually the other day, and maybe we talk about this on another episode, but you know, the frequency and the light is changing, you know, hugely. So the language that we're talking in this frequency is also changing. So we are constantly evolving, and we're evolving quicker and quicker. So something that even works like, you know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, and that doesn't mean like we have to keep changing every few weeks, but like, just keep leaning into it, asking yourself these powerful questions like, does this still work for me? Does this regulate and support my nervous system, or does it deregulate me, and does it cause me anxiety? Does it cause me confusion? Does it cause me you know, a way of like not understanding where I'm going, and kind of this sense of bewilderment, or does it keep us in alignment? So I think our nervous system here in the physical is a very good identifier, catalyst, and like kind of like beacon for showing us whether we're on track or not.
But just kind of, hi Lorna, good to see you here. But just to expand on what Sinead is saying, and so she feels that the old way that leads us to hook everything onto these labels and pain points. Yes, there is an element of, obviously that was the old way of marketing, and we know that we've kind of moved into, let's really paint the picture of transformation. However, some people still respond to pain points, and I think for me personally, we do a bit of both, because I think that works for me, because I work from a perspective, I find it hard to tune into big picture transformation. This is what I want my life to be. This is what I'm visioning. I find that really hard, but I could tell you exactly what I don't want. And that talks to pain points. So that is going to work for an element of the audience, because they can't really, they can have a sense of, you know, I don't want this to happen any longer. Like, you know, I don't want to have sleepless nights anymore, where I'm waking up at 3 a.m. and worrying about this, and feeling that, you know, I'm not attracting the right clients. You know, I want that to change. Some people will find that easier to relate to than it is to what that could look like on the other side. So I think there is an element for both. But I would also say, from an energetic perspective, because we are changing, and the marketing and the way that we talk to our clients is changing, and it is about the intentionality of what you place in terms of the energetics that you place in the post as you're creating it. And we did talk about this in the business club, that we're going to invite our clients into the business chamber and talk to them at the same time. But I think you use your data. This is where we have to come back into the divine masculine and actually look at, well, what's working best? Where are the most views? Where are the most likes? Where are the most open rates? And that's also going to give you some information there, because it's going to be individual to you. We can have a frame and a template framework, but it's going to be individual to your audience and how you're approaching your marketing and all of that. So I have a mix of both. I use pain points and I use the transformation. But I know that a lot of my marketing mentors talk about the transformation a lot, paint the picture, use the emotions, and really kind of, you know, emotions sell. Emotions, you know, money moves on the energy. One of my mentors says money moves on the wings of emotion.
Yeah.
That's how money moves in. And it can be emotion of any kind. It can be the highs, it can be the lows, it can be the catastrophes. It can be when you're feeling really shit, but you're very emotive and you're wanting to share. Money moves on the energy and the wings of emotion.
Yeah.
And that's how we speak to people.
I really love that. And I do think, even though, yeah, we are moving into 5D, you know, we're all ascending and we're all shifting and changing in our frequency, but we're still human, and we still have challenge, and we still have polarity, and we still have things that are going on in the world that don't feel good. So we all still feel pain. We're not here to eliminate it. We're here just, you know, so there is an element of both. And it's but we're here to empower people that they are something more than just their pain. And I think that that's a huge part of it. It's like, we are so much more than our pain, but our pain is a huge, our challenge, our discomfort is all a huge part of our growth. You know, it is, because all my growth is down to all my challenges, all the things that I've moved through. So again, I think, you know, one of these labels is, you know, is healing, is like wrong. Everything, you know, there's something wrong with me. I need to get it right. I need to be perfect. Like I'm still trying to find perfection, nirvana, all these things. And on the other side of this is where, you know, I get my true ascension. We are all of everything. So there is no right and wrong in that sense of, you know, what we're feeling. Our experience here is completely unique. What I feel our mission, our purpose here is to get to know ourselves even more in this physical experience, and to move through things in our own way and our own movements. So when we have these very generalized labels where we're putting people into camps, then I feel that there comes a point that they are not helpful to people, because it's not allowing them to move and evolve beyond that, because we can change everything. We're hugely powerful. When we, you know, I am still me. I still know that there's that personality part of me. I'm not the woman I was 5 years ago, 10 years, 20 years ago. There's no way. My view of the world has completely and utterly shifted. The things that bother me, the way I show up to things, the conversations I have, my responses to things are unrecognizable to the woman I was then. And we can change, we can shift things with awareness, with understanding, with consciousness, and as we evolve. So we will always, I believe, you know, kind of evolve through things, even if it's along the spectrum.
Yeah. And I think some, you know, just thinking about labels, I think for some people, labels can also give them that sense of safety. So, or a sense of purpose and mission. So say, for instance, if there was somebody that always struggled maybe with their health or their weight, and so they would have this journey of kind of getting healthy, using more nutritious foods, losing the weight, and then it's like, oh my God, I've lost this label. I've now lost this label and the security of me struggling with my weight, and I've got to be empowered, and I've got to keep this this new habit, this new lifestyle going. And it's like, oh, well, I can't hold the energy of this new label or new state that I've got myself in. So I fall off the bandwagon and I go back to the beginning, and we start the cycle over again. And it is a little bit like a mission. It's this mission to kind of keep ourselves in this cycle. It's like boom and bust in terms of money as well. It's always kind of going into debt, getting yourself out of debt, paying off all your credit cards. And then it's like, I need to get myself back into debt. So it's like, we can't hold the new frequency or maybe the new label, and there's safety and security in the old. And I think there might be something around labels with that kind of cycle and pattern as well.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, I don't believe we always go straight back to the beginning. There's always a movement to something, because we'll have learned something from each cycle. So we can feel like we're going round and round in a loop, and like we can feel like we go straight back to the beginning, and we might go near to the beginning, but there will always be a difference, because you will always understand something more of yourself, even though it might not feel like it. And they're in that, I feel, is the beautiful gift that we are given in that label, in that identity that we've taken on, if it allows us to evolve, as it allows us to evolve, as it allows us to go through a cycle and be evolved through that cycle and move through into something different. And I think that, you know, this is where it can be such a beautiful gift to us when we can, rather than being stuck in that label, see it as an opportunity to understand more of ourselves, to start looking at things from a different perspective, to recognize that we see the world and through a lens that is completely unique to us, and that we're all unique. We're all beautiful, unique beings. And that goes back to my point, you know, celebrate, you know, yourself hard, celebrate everything that you stand for, everything that you're moving through, even if it does feel challenging or difficult or sticky and feels like you've gone back in full circle back to the beginning. You haven't. You really, I don't believe you really have. And if you can just even observe that, like the observation of something changes everything. We know that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the observation, it's the self-awareness that, if that for me, that's the biggest tool that we have available, that's free, that we all have, is that self-awareness. And the more that we turn that on, the more that we learn about ourselves, the more that we can shift, the more that we can ascend. And it's something, it's like love, isn't it? It's like feeling that emotion of love and just knowing that love connects us and it heals us. It's just that innate wisdom that we have, but we just seem to conveniently forget all of the time, you know?
Isn't that true? I think we get bogged down and stuck. And I noticed that about myself, you know, like still, you know, get bogged down, or you know, what do I have to work out here, rather than looking up and feeling the expansion of what I'm moving through, what I'm evolving through, what I'm learning, and really celebrating it. You know, celebration has become my new best thing to do. It's like the amount of times I do a little jig around my office.
Celebration is great. I celebrate so many times through the day. It's just kind of like, and I also, as part of that celebration, this is a little tip for everybody, I activate the law of repetition. So, because that is a universal law. So activating the law of repetition, and so that I can receive more. So that's just every time that I receive something that's just beautiful, I just like activating the law of repetition. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I love that. That's beautiful. Because the more we do something, we are embodying it. We are every time we feel that energy of celebration coursing through every cell of our being, we become more a frequency and a match to that. So as we keep doing it in the law of repetition, that it must be repeated, then, you know, the universe can't not respond, can't not reflect back to us. Well, she's in the vibration of celebration. There needs to be something to celebrate. And so our outward world just shifts and changes, and how we relate to it, what we see, how we see things changes hugely. So it is big, right? We're all light. We're all beautiful light beings having our own unique journey, and tap into that unique light of yours. You know, the more we all do that, we shine more brightly. We shine more of that out into the world, right?
So Sonia's saying the great unlocking for her came when she learned to love herself unconditionally. I stopped needing acceptance from others. That's massive. Acceptance and validation, for sure. Not an easy journey, but on the other side, wow. And I think that is one of our primary journeys, you know. When we come back to labels, it's this kind of like learning to be that empowered, like we said, unique soul in the 3D journey, you know, and being able to love ourselves unconditionally despite the judgment, despite the fears, despite the uncertainty. and also, you know, all of our shadow parts, those bits that, you know, we come face to face with, and we do the work with, and we then come to accept and love, or just accept. We don't have to come to love our shadow. We can just accept it, you know. I mean, the label that would be, it is beautiful for everybody, is for us to be unique and to unconditionally love ourselves and unconditionally love others. But that's a process, and that's a journey. That's a, that's a big journey. It's a big journey, and it's the ascension process. It's the ascension process for sure.
Yes, I agree. And it's just like, how do we want to navigate that, and how do we want to do that differently? And it's, you know, it's not an easy journey, you're right, but we're not here to, you know, only experience joy. We have to experience the other things to know what joy brings us and what joy means for each of us, right? But as you say, you know, on the other side, wow. I would, you know, I would take the challenges that I faced in my life, knowing that each one of those has meant that I've shifted and changed. I've learned something about myself. I've grown, I've evolved, I've stepped more in alignment with who I am. And I've learned more about myself. And that is the wow. That's what I do, you know, feel that we're here to do. And we're in that we co-create a new way of being, of showing what's possible, that it is possible to be more light, more aligned to who we are, that the journey is, oh wow.
So what do you feel around having the labels of, you know, like being a spiritual person? Because that's a label, isn't it, that we are, that we've all donned if we're here, being a spiritual person. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I feel it comes with a lot of judgment from some, because it's, well, what does that actually mean? What I've been asked, you know, what religion is that aligned to? And I'm like, well, it's my religion, my viewpoint. And being spiritual, I think we've lost the understanding of what it is to be spiritual. I think there's a lot of spiritual, and to be controversial, you know, I think there's a lot of spiritual circles that are really steeped in dogma and the old ways and the old paradigms. They've just wrapped it up in a different packaging so it becomes more attractive. And I don't want to be associated with that. You know, for me, I'm really about empower, as I know you are, is about empowering people to find their own unique way and how they want to do it and how they show. It's not about creating more confinement, and you must do, to be a spiritual person, you must do this in this way
practices,
and be a good person. And this is how it comes back to the Akashic Records, you know. It's like, to learn the Akashic Records, you must do it in this way. This is what the Akashic Records are. You must do a half an hour prayer to be able to access the Akashic Records. You must be totally in alignment. Let go of all, you know. It's like, we're still human. We're still human at the end of the day. So it's really interesting. Oh, that's a big question, Marina. That's unpacked a lot of stuff, as you can probably hear. But it's like, whew, what does it mean to be? Oh, getting hot. What does it mean to be a spiritual person? You know, it's like, for me, it's just about really coming back in tune with myself. What feels good? What doesn't feel good? I'm not here to make it right for anyone else. And I guess to coin, this is what spirituality is. Spirituality is whatever you want it to be.
I think for me, I would just expand on that, is everything that you've said, but also spirituality is in everything. Whether you choose to coin it as spirituality, but cooking a meal, going out for a walk, these are all spiritual practices. Having sex, it's spiritual. It's what you engage with and how you connect with it in terms of the human experience and what you bring. And so if you decide to bring your guides in as part of that spiritual experience, great. But for me, the spiritual part is the human experience with the soul and the human experience. That is the spiritual, that's the spiritual part of it. And so anything we do is spiritual practice. Obviously, we can enhance it with the magic and the spells and all of this type of stuff, working with crystals, working with healers, all of that type of stuff. But everything for me is spiritual.
Yeah.
Anything. Going to shopping. I said to somebody, me shopping in Aldi, that is a spiritual practice. It might not sound it, but it is, because I'm a human. I'm a soul in a human experience. And so I've got this spiritual practice. I mean, I did say maybe shopping in Aldi is pushing it a little bit far. But you know what I mean.
But it's how I guess it's how we relate to everything. It's like even washing up. Are we just washing up because it's like a chore we have to do, or is it we're washing up and we're feeling the water on our hands and we're feeling how we're cleaning the plate and we're in the moment? And you know, this is a big part of mindfulness for me. It's like presence, spirituality. I feel is about presence, where we can not forget the past, but just not be attached to the past and not be anxious and worrying about what might happen. What if? We get to create our future. We get to create the next steps. We get to choose where we're walking, what direction, how we navigate things. But I feel I love that. Like, but it's not the act of, you know, shopping in Aldi. It's who you are. Yes, cooking is a form of magic and spirit. It's the presence of it. It's the feeling of it. So you walk into the shops, you noticing, you know, who you walk past, the smiling to other people. It's the walking into the shop, consciously choosing, like, or you just throwing things in and going, this is just a chore and I've got to get this done. So there's something about the presence, the enjoyment of the process, the magic, the living of it, you know, and that's what it is. And you're absolutely right. You can do that with anything. Doesn't have to be beautiful or pretty or, you know, romantic.
But the label of spiritual, you know, we run a spiritual business and all of that it has its like struggle. Sonia said it has a lot of connotations with it, of what it's the expectation of what that means is. So she said it comes with assumptions and responsibilities. I see a lot of so-called spiritual people not aligned with my journey and way of being. It's all about the uniqueness of all in my mind. This is where the labels aren't helpful. Absolutely.
Totally agree with that. And it's like it's like a lot of it is steeped in this is the right path, this is the only path, you know.
And that's where it becomes, like you say, dogmatic.
And it's like I still hear spiritual leaders who really don't understand this, like walking alongside each other, you know, that we're all doing the same thing, and that where people who call themselves spiritual leaders are saying my way is the only way. Only I can do this because I have the gift. We are all gifted. We are all capable, and it's all about finding our own unique way. That's why we have so many beautiful modalities in the world, you know, because there is something for everyone, because we're all unique. Something that resonates with somebody might not resonate with anyone. It's acceptance. It's about loving that. It's like, okay, that's perfect. That's okay for you. And like, you're sprinkling love, you know, sprinkling light out into the world, and you're creating ripples in a positive way, then keep doing it. And if it doesn't align with someone else, that's also perfect too. But I do hear so many spiritual teachers saying, I've got the only solution. I'm doing it right. You must follow me. Everyone else is getting it wrong. And there's still so much, like,
that's lack and scarcity though, isn't it?
Lack and scarcity. Exactly. And that's not what we're here. We're all here to have an abundant life. And the slating down of other people on social media and like saying, you have got it wrong. What you're doing is not spiritual. You're just undermining people, scamming them, doing all sorts of different things. And I've had that because people don't agree with the Akashic Records, and it's fine. It's like, it's okay. You don't agree with it. That's all right. But I know how helpful it is. I know how it supported hundreds of my clients to walk a different path that's meant that they're more in tune with what they want, standing in their own power and allowing themselves to make better choices for them. It's not the same choices as everyone. And this is the beautiful thing. Yeah. Ooh, that's a biggie, isn't it? I feel there's still a lot of, unfortunately, unhelpful, shall we say, things in the spiritual community that don't align with spirituality.
Yeah, and I'm always going to have to bring this in, but some of that will be purposely planted in there, won't it? To undermine the spiritual community or perceived spiritual community, but that's sector of the planet, people that are aligning with that energetically. There's always going to be the powers that be that have like placed, I would say, fairly big people into the spotlight so that they can lead people off in a different direction and keep the programming going and the fear and the conditioning. It's going to be everywhere, isn't it? It's going to be everywhere. So, but this is where the importance of coming back to our own unique label, which is labelless. You know, if we're going to give ourselves a label, let's give ourselves the unconditional love label. You know, we're a soul that's filled of unconditional love, whatever it might be. That's where we've got to come back to our own unique label and just know what feels aligned for us. And we will find our tribe. We will find those people that we vibe with. And, you know, always coming back, you know, we're all walking each other home, essentially. Those people that we're supposed to walk with, we will find and we will walk with on every journey, every incarnation that we choose to have.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? I think that's been a huge amount of the conversations that you and I have had, Marina, around really, really understanding that, you know, even though we do the same thing, we have, you know, very similar businesses and ways of working, but it's just like that we are all unique with it and we can stand by each other and we can collaborate and we've got to find our tribe. And it's not about standing with everyone that thinks and believes the same. It's great to see other people and accept other people for differences, but it's like we are out there, like your tribe exists, and being with them, walking alongside them, and that's really hopeful. You know, I don't feel we have to get entrenched in the fear of things. And where these labels or these things show up for us, it's this beautiful, beautiful gift to allow us to move through things at our own pace, to see how it resonates with us and how we evolve through it. And I think that is the beautiful gift that labels can really bring us. For me, the Akashic Records can really help us in that, in identifying, you know, is that label helpful? Is that something we want to release? Or is it something that we want to, you know, walk alongside and see where it takes us? So that.
I agree, Sonia. Those epic people, we've got so many around. It's just, immense. And what a journey in such a short space of time, how we can like connect with these people that we're supposed to connect with. You know, they're there already written into our Akashic Records, and it's just whether we take the step onto the right pathway to meet that person. And, you know, see what magic then unfolds in that co-creation. So it's very beautiful.
It is, isn't it? And I think that's been one of the beauties of technology and, you know, and you know, having these conversations, that it can reach everyone anywhere around the world, and knowing and trusting that actually, as we put these things out, that somebody will be, I need to go over here. I'm hearing so much more and more. I just stumbled on this by accident, and like, oh my gosh, this is so resonant. And I'm like, there's the magic. Like, we're doing the work. We're like, we're emitting the frequency. We're letting it out, and it's like a different kind of radio station. It's like we're tuning in, and people are hearing and connecting at the perfect right time. And that this conversation never dies. This is the beauty of it, right, Marina? Because you know, this conversation isn't just something that went out on a radio station and that was it. If you tuned in live, you got to listen to it. And if you didn't, then you missed it. This is out there forever. There will be somebody listening to this at some point, and then our voices are activated, the frequency is activated, the channeling is activated again and again every time someone tunes into it. This really is the beauty of the journey. I was going to say the work, but the journey we're walking, you know, it's like, this is what we're doing. And we're getting, hopefully, you know, getting, you know, us to open up this awareness, this curiosity about what feels good for us, what feels resonant, and what do we choose to do with that, and to move forward and shift and change. So I think that's a huge part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. So let us know in the comments. Has this given you a different perspective around labels? Have you questioned any labels that perhaps you are using for yourself and maybe are limiting you? Or maybe there's labels that you need to change, drop, or maybe explore even further.
Yeah.
Give you that confirmation or give you that assurance, so then you can move through it and move on to the other, whatever's on the other side, you know. So I don't think labels are there to be feared. They're there to be used in the way that we need to use them personally to help with our expansion and our growth. And that's, you know, that's what I feel the labels are there for.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So just stay tuned and just let us know what your questions are and what topics again that you would like to hear us talking about. And thank you, Sonia. Another epic conversation.
Thank you.
I did how I explained some of what I do to others. So thank you both. Oh, you're so welcome. We'd love to see, like, you know, let us know, give us some feedback around what that's meant for you and what's changed for you. But follow us on YouTube, Safety and Ascension. You can watch all of our previous episodes, all 6 of them. The 7th one will be live on YouTube shortly. And follow us, share. If you've loved this conversation, then please share it on your feed. Let other people know about it. We're creating a movement. We really want to get this and sprinkle this out to more and more people as time goes on. So we will be back next month. We haven't set a date, have we?
No, we haven't. We're really crap.
We will announce it. We will announce it, but I feel that we will be talking about different levels of energies and like this galactic Akashic Records and stuff like that. So we've got a juicy topic lined up for you next time, and how we talk a bit more into that. You're so welcome. Come and join us again next month. We will announce it.
Love and blessings, everybody.
Thank you. See you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye.